So, mm, front-end development. So yeah, hope you all are guys doing well. So again, we are on the track, right? So happy coding to you all, and so let's get start and let's deeper dive into JavaScript again, right? So we are on track, right? So hope you all are doing well with the full joy and full enjoy. I mean, you can enjoy the course and yeah. So we are on track, right? So let me give a minute of the overview for all the topics or the concept that we have already covered, right? So you can able to see my screen, right? So we have already seen this. JavaScript, inside that basics of JavaScript, in which we have covered variable, data types, operators, loops, right? So, and inside that also we have covered let where cons. So we are on again track and we have covered functions and scope. So why I'm covering what we have covered and what we have to do in every session. So those who are joining this session only, they can also sync with us, right? So we have already covered scopes and functions. So we seen how to declare the function and what are the expressions, what is arrow function, what are parameters and argument, right? And the closures and I mean the scope we have already covered, right? And here in the third uh, point, I can say in the JavaScript arrays and object, we have already seen what is array and how we can work with the array and what are the methods that we use in JavaScript for array. So we have already seen push, pop, shift, reduce, slice, map, filter, and reduce, right? So and after that we have seen what is the object and how we can create the object. So we have already seen the properties of objects and how we can access it and what is a destructuring that we have already covered, right? And these objects and array we have covered, right, both. And then we have covered scope and then we have covered ES6 features. So what are the features of ES6 that we have already covered, right? mm, yeah. So let me share my screen. Think yeah, now I can able to share my screen. So entire screen let me share. So yeah, so we are on track again, right? So let me yeah, so you guys can able to see the topics that we have covered, right? So you can take a snapshot or a picture in the phone of the topics, or we have already posted in the group, so you can see from there. And yeah, so for today, today's agenda is to cover the closures and the blocks scopes. What is a block scope in JavaScript, right? What is temporal dead zone and how it will work? What is the callback function, right? So that we can wrap all the topics under point three, right? And then we have the point four, I can say, in the JavaScript, which is very important, right? What is DOM? So DOM is nothing. It is just document object model. So we'll see how the DOM will affect in our JavaScript, right? And this is the concept of React also, that is used in React as well. So yes, so we can start again, right? Again, we are on track. Happy coding to you all, right? So let me open my VS Code again, and let me remove this. Okay. So we can see here, we have seen ES6 feature in our previous session. So let me give my file name. What file I can give here? We can give here closures, right? So this is the 11th concept, I can say, right? Closures, closures in JS dot JS. So let me make a comment here. So that will be our topic name. Okay. So my bad. Closures in JavaScript. So what is the closures, and how it will work? So let me write the definition first. Okay. So it will be easy for you to understand, right? So a closure is a function. A closure is a function that closes over its surrounding state and state. So will I'll cover this as well, right? What it will be the state here? So surrounding state, even after that state is no longer in scope, right? So we have seen already scope, right? How the scope will work, right? And the second line we have here, in simpler terms, or a closures, we can say, so in the simpler format also we can say, or in the simpler definition also we can say, a closures that allows a function to access a variable from an enclosing scope or environment, even after that scope has finished or execute. So what do you mean by here? The like very too many technical terms we have used here, right? So we have used function here and access variables and enclosing scope, environment, right? And executing. These are all the technical terms that we have to understand here, right? So how the closure will work, and what do you mean by what do you understand by the closure? So closures is nothing, uh, whenever we are creating some function, right? So that function have some the function which we will gonna create, that function will have um, some parameters that we are taking, right? Or maybe it is having some scope. So we have already covered the scope, right? But okay, the blog scope we have to cover. So I'll teach you in the same, right? Okay. So let me create an example so that we can able to understand properly. So suppose we have created a function. Let me write from scratch. Examples. Yes, example of closure in JavaScript. So I can create a function. So we already know how to create a function, right? So the function name I'm giving here, outer function. Okay. And we can give any variable here, right? Outer variable. Okay. Outer variable. So this will be the syntax here, right? So this is the function here, right? And so in the definition itself, it is saying the function which is having the outer function which is having some function inside, and outer function, which we can call it inner function, right? So, and once, even after the scope of the outer function has finished, we can able to access the inner function also, right? So in the first definition, in the first line, we can see here a closure is a function. What is closure? So closure is a function, we can say, that closes over its surrounding state even after that state is no longer in scope. So what do you mean by state here? So state means some data we are having, right? So let me clear out that. So suppose let me declare some variable here. So uh, let me create a count here. So the count value will be 0 here, right? And then let me create one more function inside the function. So uh, we have an outer function, and inside the outer function we are just declaring, or we are creating a new function which is with the name of inner function. So this is the inner function that I have created. And what I'm gonna do here, I'm just increasing the value of counter here, right? And in the line number 18, I'm just in the line number 19, I'm just returning, sorry, yeah, return inner function. So whatever the function we have, whatever the inner function we have, after executing that function, we are returning that function. So let me, okay. So let me write the code for running the function, right? So, and let me comment this all. Otherwise, it is showing errors in our code, right? So, and let me clear this as well. So you can able to see here what we did here. We have a function. So closures is nothing. It is a function. What kind of function? So the function, I can say the outer function, which is having some variable or argument, and this is the variable we have created. And inside that, some inner function will be there. Even after that, the inner function is returned, we can able to execute or access the values here, right? So let me make a const here, in which, I mean, I'm creating a variable counter here, and I'm calling the outer function. So my outer function name is this. So how can I call? I can just pass an empty parameters here. Let me remove this first, because I don't want to pass any arguments and parameters. And let me make a console log. So we can call like this as well, right? So counter. So console log we have already created inside the inner function, okay? And how can we run this file? So we already know we have the file name. We can copy the file name, okay? And let me make a copy file. I have copied already. And the node, whatever the file name we have, .js. So my file name is here 11 dot closers closer in js, right? .js. So using that, I can run the file. We are getting some error because I haven't saved my file. So let me save my file. We are getting some outer variables. My bad. I have to write here count, because outer variable is not any variable we have used here. We have used here count, right? So count, the value of count we are increasing, and we are making a console log of that same count, right? So what is issue we are getting again here? Outer variable. Okay, my bad. I haven't saved the file. So these are the small mistakes that we have to take care. We have to save the file again and again whenever. So there is an auto save option also in VS Code we have. So we can go to the settings, right? And let me tell you as that as well. And then we can search here auto save. So I have so like on the focus change or after delay on the window change, that we can select whatever you want, and we can enable the auto save mode as well in VS Code. So manually we don't have to save, but this is the good practice that manually we can save. So it will be a habit for us, right? So yeah, so you can able to see here the outer variable one we are able to get here. So what exactly here happening, and let me make one more counter, right? Then we can see what will be the output. Then I will explain you what will be the happening here. So we can see here, let me change it name counter. Okay. So we are getting counter one and counter two. So what we are doing here, we are making a counter. We have created a variable which will be calling this function. So I'm calling this function from here, the outer function, right? So whenever that the line of JavaScript will execute, it is coming here and checking this function is called. So it is going to the outer function and it is running the outer function. So inside the outer function, we have already created a variable, the count, which value is 0. But then this inner function will run, okay? And the counter value will increase, and it is increasing the value by 1. So here plus plus means this count equal to, so this is the short form that I have written, plus 1. So those who are new in JavaScript, they can understand count plus plus means count equal to count plus 1. So whatever the value we have in count, so we have here 0, right? So that 0 we are adding 1, right? So what will be the next value of count here? Should be 1, and we are returning that inner function. So whatever the values we are having inside that function, that we are returning. So in the line number 14, you can able to see here we are getting count value 1, right? And so, and again we are calling the counter value, right? We are calling the function. So we are getting here the value is 2. Okay. So like that the closure will work. So whenever you can understand, right, it's kind of saving some values here, and whenever you will call that function, it will count, I mean it will increase the previous value. So let me make a counter, sorry, counter. I'm calling the function again, and it will give us count is 3. So let me save the file, Control S, and we can see, let me clear that terminal. So we can see here counter 3 we are getting, right? So this is the closers. So I will tell you where this will help, right? And how we can do some other coding, and how we can get some interview questions, right? So they'll ask you, so what exactly it is doing. This outer function scope is getting over even after that inner function is running here, right? So this is the closure. So we'll solve many other question as well. Maybe once we'll cover this other topics as well. Then we'll have one session for coding as well, or maybe we can move with the Java. I mean for React, right? So this is the closures that we have covered here. Hope you guys understand, right? So let me change the color of it, and we have the next topic, callback function. and we have the closures in JavaScript, right? So I mean blog scope in JavaScript, in which are temporarily dead zone here. So this is very important, I can say, for coding question and for interview as well. So let me take this. We'll finish this first, then we'll go for callback function. So callback function is also very important. Why I'm saying? Because I'm covering all the important topics as well, because I'm saying this is also important, this is also important. So if if you will go for interview, if you are having zero experience, or maybe if you are having 3 4 5 and many more, they'll ask definitely some question from here itself, right? So let me comment this code. So we can maybe we can create a new file. So let me create a file 12 dot blog scope. So blog scope dot js. So I've created a new file here. So we'll see what will be the blog scope and what is temporal dead zone. So and how it will work, right? So what do you mean by I mean blog scope, and why we are using it and when it will be introduced, right? So we'll see everything, and we'll see the temporal dead zone as well, how this will work, right? So so sorry. So yeah, we have blog scope. So how this will work? So let me clear you. Whenever in the JavaScript, we already know we have three types of variable declaration, right? So let me remind you again. This is the way: lat, var, and const. So using lat, var, const, we can declare some variables, right? And we have already covered what is scope, right? Scope and how it will work, we already covered. But the blog scope, what do you mean understand by blog? So suppose this, okay, the flower brackets I have created here, right? The curly bracket, sorry. And inside that, if I'm writing some code, so let me create an example. Let me give the name here, blog scope. Okay, we'll see with the let and where, right? And I'll tell you where this temporal date zone will happen in the same, right? So I'm just taking an example. Okay, so this will be my block. So wherever this kind of brackets will be open, this will be called as blog scope. And suppose we have some function. I'm just giving an example here, right? So function, and inside the function we are again we are creating this kind of brackets, right? So this is flower bracket. So this is called as a functional scope, right? Okay, and blog scope as well. So let me take an example. Let x equal to 10 I have taken here, and let me make a console log here, console log of x, and let me make a console log here. So should I or will will be able to access this here? Tell me. So will not be able to access this let. Okay, why? I will tell you the reason. First, let me run the code and give you the proof that it will not work. Sorry, I have to write my file name. So 12.blogscope blogscope.js. I think I have saved the file. I'm using some different name. So let me make a copy from here from the directly file so that we will not do any mistake, right? So node and my file name .js. We are getting some error. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Got it. So yeah, we are getting reference error. So what is reference here and why it is showing X is not defined? Why it is not defined? But we have already defined here, right? So this error is coming from line number 26, which I have commented here, right? You can able to see here, right? It is showing 26, and inside that it is showing, and below that it is showing console log of X, and it is giving an error here, right? So here the reference error we are getting. Okay. So let me make this line number 26 as a comment, and then we can able to see here whether this x will the x value we can able to access inside the blog or not. So see, let me save the file here. Okay, and let me run the code. So we are getting 10 here, right? So you are understanding here inside this blog only we can able to access this lat variable. Okay, and let me check with the where variable. Okay, so I have converted lat, or maybe we can take some other example. Okay, example one, we can give the name. Okay, and example two we can give here name, right? So I'm just using where now, right? And we have commented the above code, and we can see here the same code, but the difference is I have before that we were using some lat, and now we are using some var. Okay, so let me check that as well. We'll be able to access the variable or the variable value outside that scope. Okay, this is the scope from line number 30 to line number 33. We have an scope, and we can able to see here whether we can able to access. So you can able to see here using var we can able to access the variable value of x inside the scope as well and outside the scope as well. Okay, so it's clear here, um, that using where we can able to access the variable value outside the scope and inside the scope as well. What is the reason here? Because this is the global I mean global variable we have created, right? So we can whatever the global variable that we can able to access outside the scope and inside the scope both, right? So, and I'll tell you where the temporal dead zone will be happening. Okay, so suppose, yes. So what is temporal dead zone? We can understand the definition first. So it is clear for you guys right here. So in the two example, we have taken first example with using lat. So it was giving here a reference error. What was the error? Reference error. X is not defined using the lat because the scope of X was here the blog scope. So inside that blog only it will able to access. But in the case of where we can able to access this outside the scope because X is global scope, global variable here, right? We are using with where, right? And let me comment this so we can understand here what is blog scope. So whatever the this flower brackets we have created, and inside that whatever we are writing that will called as a scope. So it is having a block here from line number 31 to line number 34 only whatever we have written that we can able to access inside that using lat. But in the case of where we can able to access it outside the scope as well. So what next we need to see? We need to see the temporal dead zone. Okay. So let me write the definition here. Okay. So what is temporal dead zone and when it will be occur? So we can write in the sort as well TDZ, that will be called as a temporal dead zone. So temporal dead zone means the time between entering a scope and the variable being um, declared or access it before declaration cause and a reference error. So let me write the definition here. TD, or let me write temporal dead zone, so not be an issue. Temporal dead dead zone is the time period between entering a block and the variable declaration. During this time, if we are trying to access, it will show or throw an error. Which error it will throw? It will throw a reference error. So this is the two lines of definition that we have here. So temporal date zone is the time period. What is temporal date zone? So temporal date zone will be a time period entering the block. So we have already seen the what is the block here, right? So that is clear for us now. So entering of the block variable declaration, during this time, if we are trying to access the variable, it can throw an error. So let me write a simple code. So let me write a console dot log of a. Okay, and let me create a here. So now tell me, will can we able to access this? This will throw an error. So let me clear, and we have saved a file. So you can able to see here, cannot access a before initialization. So it is given a reference error, cannot access. So we cannot able to access here a before initializing. So in the line number 45, we have declared using lat the a variable which is equal to 5, and we are trying to access it before the declaration and initializing the value, right? So this is throwing an reference error. So in this is the temporal dead zone happening here, right? But in the case of, and let me take other examples as well. This way, this is first only. Second example we can take here, which is here like suppose I'm not giving an example of temporal date zone, I'm just giving some example or exercise so that you can understand, right? So let me create a var here with using b. I can give some 10 value here, and let me make a console dot log of b. So this is the simple coding questions that interviewer can ask you, right? And this is I mean this is little bit tricky and I mean confusing as well, right? So we can see here, now we have 10 here, right? So we can able to access this value of b whenever it is created with using var, which is global variable, right? So let me take this 10 here. Okay, just I'm doing something so that you can able to understand here, and be equal to 10. So we already know where variable we can redeclare. So I'm not redeclaring it. I'm just giving a where we have just defined the variable, right? And I'm just initializing the value. So this is variable declaration that we have done here. And this is initialization initialization of value. So tell me, will this p will give an error, or it will give an output. So let me save the file. Let me run the code again, and then we can see here it is giving an undefined, because here the v which we have already created as a variable, and we are trying to access it before initializing. So it is not throwing an error, but it is giving an undefined because v has not defined yet. Any value is not assigning to the v. But in the same case, if we are trying to uh, declare some value to the v first, and let me write other code so that it will be a notes for you guys as well. Okay. So the third question will become like this. Uh, b not b, yeah, b equal to 10, 20, and console dot log of b. Okay, and yes, and the variable declaration we have to do, right? So let me save the file, and will this will be given error or not? This is not giving an error because in that case, so inside the I mean for b we have declared the 20 value. And so what JavaScript will doing here, so JavaScript knows, it will compile from the line number first to the last, and it will see here b has assigning some value, and we have a console log, and it will see, okay, we have already defined here, right? So it will take the b from here, like it is already defined. So it is not throwing an error, it is giving a b value here, right? But in the example number second, we are trying to access the value of b, and we have defined the variable, but we are trying to access the value before we have assigning some value to that variable. So it was giving an error, right? So this was the example third, and let me take some more example. Yes, four I can give number. So in the case of lat as well, we can take some example. Okay, let b, I mean let c equal to 30, console dot log of c. So we will get here 30. Okay, but in the in the in the case of this temporal dead zone, so what error we were getting here, we are trying to access a before initialization, so it was giving an error here, right? So and here also we are just giving, and we are just declaring the c value variable, and we are giving some value as well, right, in the same line, and we are just trying to access that variable, so it will not throw an error. It is giving 30, right? See, it is giving 30 now. But let me take another example, which is 5 here. I know it will be a little bit tricky or confusing for you, but when you will be going to do some practice on this, it will be easy for you guys. Just need to remember two, three concepts. So what will be, how, when the blog scope will be happening, when the temporal dead zone will be happening, right? So we have to take care of that all. So now let create some d variable and let me take a console log here, and we are trying to access that variable, and let me define that v value as a 40 or anything. Yeah, 40 we can take. Let me make a comment this code, and we can able to see here, right? Let me save the file. So now will we able to access this? No, because it is giving an undefined error. So in the same, we have already seen here, right, in the above code, why it is giving undefined, because the JavaScript compiler will able to find the variable declaration is already done. So that's why it is not giving some error, right? But the value we have defined after I mean, after writing the console log. So it is not able to find here, right? So we have seen here 5 examples. Okay, so we have covered this blog scope and temporal date zone. So you guys can know what is blog scope and what is temporal date zone here, right? I hope you understand, but yeah, it is little bit complicated, I can say, right? So the next topic that we can cover, maybe we can cover the functions, I mean, callback function, or we can understand the DOM. So callback function is also a little bit tricky. So let me take this here for, okay, and we can copy paste here. Can give some point here 4.1 so that we can take in the upcoming session, because that will take around 20 minutes. So we are running short of time, and we can understand the DOM, right? And how the DOM will work, so that we can cover that upcoming sessions. So let me create a file. Okay, DOM js.js. So what will be the, what we can do here? Yes, so we can see here this will be the DOM in JavaScript, right? So DOM, what is DOM and how it will work? So DOM is nothing, it is the document object model that we are gonna use in JavaScript. Okay, so DOM is an, and how it will work. So we can see the definition here, right? So DOM is a programming interface, I can say, right, for web development, and it will represent to the page so that the program can change the document structure, style, and context. DOM represent document as node object. That way, the programming language can interact with the page. So, like those who know how we can write the HTML file, right? So let me write. I'm just writing for an example. Okay, here. I mean, we can understand some other definition as well, but let me write doc HTML, and then we can see here we have some head and HTML, right? And title we can write here. We can add some head and body. We can wrap up with the uh, we can wrap up with the body, and we can see here we can close this HTML tag, right? So what is DOM and how it will work? So whatever the uh, whatever the syntax that we are writing in the HTML, right, that is creating some structure. So that structure we have seen here, right, it represents the page so that programmers can change the document structure. So this is an structure here, right? So this is the document HTML, and inside that this will be an HTML file, right? Dot HTML. But for just to show how the structure will be, so I have written some HTML code. Don't write any HTML code inside the .js file, because this is for JavaScript only, right? So this is an structure that we are following uh, for HTML writing, right? So this is the document object model. So whatever the HTML that we are writing, it is having some structure, some style, some content. What will be the content? Anything. Inside the head, we have inside the head, we have written some title. That is DOM example, right? Inside the body, you can type anything. Just suppose, I know we haven't covered HTML here, but that is very simple. I will share the uh, some sources also to learn HTML CSS, because that is very basics and very easy things. So this we have seen the structure. So it represent to the page. So this is the page in this kind. I mean, like this, we can create some HTML page, right? So it is representing the page so that the document structure and the style and the context. So a programmer can change anything here, right? Suppose I have written anything heading here like hello world or anything, right? So the programmer can change. I mean, happy coding they can write here. Okay, so like that, this is structure and the DOM will work. This is the DOM, but we'll see in the upcoming sessions what will be the DOM. I mean, how it will work and what is the selecting elements and query selectors, event handling, what is DOM manipulation, and we'll see ES6 features and modern JavaScript, in which we will cover this restructuring and template literals, and we have split and rest operator that we have already seen, but we'll see once again, and we'll cover in upcoming session this default parameters, right? The promises, async await operators, right, and async await methods. How I mean, these are the operations, right, in the promise itself. And yeah, so we have finished for today, right? So happy coding to you all, and hope you are getting all the concept very good, and maybe you can practice as well side by side so that it will be easy for you to understand, right? So again, we'll meet on 8:30 p.m. tomorrow, right? I'll try to take the session ahead so that we have these two more topics, right? DOM and events and ES6. I mean, ES6 we have already seen in the previous session, right? So because we have already seen ES6 feature, right? So scope and closures also we have covered, in ES6 features we have already seen. So the modern JavaScript will see. So whatever the split and rest operators and async await that will be comes under. I'll give just I mean some overviews and for modern JavaScript. But this is the course for basics only, so that we have cover everything, whatever the we can see from scratch, right? So, and then once we'll finish these topics of JavaScript, then we'll move for React. So I'll inform you in the group itself. Okay, and yeah, thank you, thank you all. Thanks for your time. Okay.